We all have fond memories of seeing the Amul girl in witty cartoons, be it on a billboard right on the highway or on the first page of a newspaper. But Amul is much more than a brand that has mastered the art of moment marketing. Anand Milk Union Limited, or Amul, is one of the largest dairy producers not just in India but across the world. And what's even more impressive is that it is not a corporate giant owned by a venture capitalist or some public shareholder, but a social enterprise that is collectively owned by 36 lakh milk producers in India, collecting over 2 crore liters of milk every day from these 36 lakh farmers across the country. Amul boasts of a presence in more than 20 countries, exporting to the likes of the US, Hong Kong, Malaysia, New Zealand, Australia, and more. In India, Amul has an 88% market share in butter, 63% share in infant milk, and 45% market share in dairy whiteners. Amul also enjoys a 26% share in the 25,000 crore packaged milk market, playing a vital role in making India the largest producer of milk in the world for the last 21 years. But India was not always a milk producer country. In fact, in 1970, India had one of the lowest milk consumption per capita. So how did India manage to rise to the top position in the world in the span of 30 years? And what role did Amul play in it? And while companies are unable to manage mere hundreds of employees and suppliers, how did Amul manage to bring lakhs of dairy farmers together? And how did Nandini, a similar cooperative in Karnataka, has ensured that Amul has almost zero presence in the state? We are going to answer all of these questions in this video today. So let's dive in. To answer all of these questions, we need to go back to India right after independence. In the 1950s and 60s, India was a milk deficit nation dependent on imports. The situation was so bad that the annual production growth of milk in India was negative for several years, which means that the production was decreasing instead of increasing. At the same time, the per capita milk consumption, or how much milk was consumed by each individual, dropped from 124 grams per day to 107 grams per day. Not only were these levels one of the lowest in the world, but also well below the recommended nutritional standard. Now understand that while today a famine in India seems impossible, this was right after independence, and food and milk shortages were one of the major issues that the country faced. But the problem here was quite unique. So to understand it, we have to go back to 1946, before independence. Suppose Mr. Gopal is a farmer in a village in the Kaira district of Gujarat, now known as the Kheda district. He owns a herd of healthy cattle that produces a large amount of milk. But as a farmer, he is exploited by traders and larger organizations, particularly the company Polson. Polson was a dairy products brand that started in Mumbai in 1915, which had attained a virtual monopoly in the dairy industry in India by 1945. Before Polson, housewives in India bought milk and butter directly from milkmen. But Polson had established itself as a middleman and generated huge profits at the expense of the milkmen. Polson Dairy had secured the rights from the government to procure milk from the entire Kaira district. So as a farmer, Gopal was being pushed by Polson to sell the milk to them at arbitrary prices, and he had no other option. Polson then sold this milk to the Bombay Milk Scheme in Mumbai at heavy profits. Frustrated by this exploitation, Gopal gathered his fellow dairy farmers in the village and, led by Tribhuvan Das Patel, approached Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel. Sardar Patel advised him to form a cooperative where they would be able to directly supply to the Bombay Milk Scheme and cut out Polson, the middleman. Patel sent Morarji Desai to organize the farmers, who formed Kaira District Cooperative Milk Producers Union Limited, or KDCMPUL, in 1950. Initially a small organization, Kaira Cooperative collected 250 liters of milk from just 2 villages in modern-day Anand, Gujarat. After independence, the government of India cancelled its contract with Polson and entered into an agreement with the Kaira Cooperative. Eventually, the cooperative decided to establish a dairy plant of its own, which was inaugurated by PM Nehru in October 31, 1956. It grew from one dairy plant to another, adding more villages, more farmers to its network in the Kaira area. And in this way, by 1956, Gopal was no longer being exploited by Polson. However, he was still not happy because milk production is not spread evenly throughout the year. There is a flush season during the months of October to February when cattle naturally produce more milk. But then there is a lean season from March to September where milk production drops considerably. This is a natural phenomenon that all animals experience across the world. Now, as a farmer, Gopal is able to sell all of his milk during the lean season, but during the flush season, the milk production is so high that the market is flooded with milk. And this unusual demand creates a drop in price and sometimes situations where Gopal is not even able to sell his milk at all. Now, you may ask, how were the other countries in the world able to easily tackle this problem? Because the flush season is a phenomenon that happens across the world. So it wasn't just India that was facing this issue of uneven supply. The difference was that in the West, cows were the most popular type of cattle that farmers owned, while in the case of India, it was buffalo. To tackle the situation of uneven supply, developed countries in the West converted the excess cow milk into milk powder, which had much longer shelf life than milk, obviously. However, there was no technology to create milk powder from buffalo milk, as the chemical composition of cow milk is significantly different from buffalo milk. Fortunately, just 24 hours before Kaira Cooperative's first dairy plant was established, on October 30, 1956, a man with the determination of a mountain led his team to discover a way to make milk powder from buffalo milk. Verghese Kurien. He was a man who was single-handedly responsible for changing the face of the global milk industry with nothing but sheer willpower and intelligence. Born in Kerala, Kurien was a graduate of Michigan University in the US who wanted a career in nuclear physics and metallurgy. However, he had taken a government scholarship for his studies, which mandated him to serve for a fixed term in a government organization. And this made him come to an experimental government creamery in Anand, Gujarat, a district neighboring the Kaira area. There, working with the founder of Kaira Cooperative, Tribhuvan Das Patel, he tinkered with the primitive dairy equipment available to them at that dairy. Kurien then invited his friend and batchmate from America, H.M. Dalaya, and persuaded him to stay at Anand and help him out. Eventually, Dalaya invented the process of making milk powder and condensed milk from buffalo milk instead of cow milk. And this invention changed the face of the milk industry in India forever. Coupled with the acumen of Kurien and the invention of Dalaya, India had now solved all the problems and the stage was set for it to thrive. The trio of Patel, Kurien and Dalaya continued working together in Anand and Kaira in the dairy cooperative mode. This was when they invented the Anand model of dairy cooperatives, which would go on to be followed literally across the entire country. The Anand pattern followed an integrated structure to procure, process, then sell the milk, linking the producers directly with the consumers. It follows a 3-tier structure consisting of the village society, the district union, and the state federation. An Anand pattern village dairy cooperative society, or DCS, is formed by the milk producers of a village. Any producer can become a DCS member by buying a share and agreeing to sell milk only to DCS. Each DCS has a milk collection center where members take milk twice every day. The DCS regularly pays the members at predetermined intervals based on the percentage of fat and SNF in their milk. SNF, or solids not fat, are nutrients other than milk fat and water, like protein, carbs and minerals including calcium and phosphorus. Then comes the district union at the district level. A district cooperative milk producers union is owned by several DCS societies that are part of that district. The district union collects milk from all the societies, processes it and then readies it for marketing. It also provides a range of inputs and services to member DCS societies like vet care, artificial insemination, feed and training to society leaders and staff. Then finally comes the state federation at the top level, which is responsible for marketing and selling milk and other milk products. It also provides feed and support to the member district union. Note here that it's not that there are no leaders in each of these tiers. There are leaders and managers, but they too are elected by the producers and farmers themselves. So this is basically a democratic structure of the producers, by the producers and for the producers. And the best part is that all profits are split equally among the producers as per their contribution. This cooperative dairying model became extremely popular and started getting attention from all over India. In 1965, PM Lal Bahadur Shastri asked Kurien to replicate the dairy's Anand scheme across India, setting up NDDB or the National Dairy Development Board. Kurien was single-handedly responsible for the success of the NDDB. On January 13, 1970, the NDDB launched the landmark project named Operation Flood, and Kurien was the chief architect of the program that eventually turned India into the biggest producer of milk in the world, later termed the White Revolution. The Anand model was implemented on a national scale and a national milk grid was created. The grid connected producers throughout the India in more than 700 towns directly to consumers, cutting out the middleman and controlling the seasonal and regional price variation. Farmers now had the incentive to produce milk, and the genetic improvement of milking animals also occurred with the help of cross-breeding support from the cooperative. The result is that India is now the world's largest producer of milk, with a tenfold increase in production capacity from 20 million tons in 1961 to 210 million tons in 2021. The daily milk consumption in the country rose from 107 grams per person in 1970 to 427 grams per person in 2021, higher than the world average of 322 grams per person per day. Kurien, the father of the White Revolution, started replicating the Anand dairy model in other districts of Gujarat with success. And in 1973, he brought all the smaller dairies and associations in Gujarat under the Gujarat Cooperative Milk Marketing Federation, selling their products under a single brand called Amul. Powering this ultra-efficient supply chain model was the witty and effective advertising strategy of Amul, and Kurien's resolve to build a diversified product portfolio. The result is that Amul is the leading dairy brand in India today, with a revenue of 55,000 crores in financial year 2023, an increase of 18.5% from the last year, witnessing double-digit growth in almost all market segments, be it milk, be it butter, or even chocolate. But one state continues to elude Amul: Karnataka. The dairy market in Karnataka is ruled by the Karnataka Milk Federation or KMF, selling under the brand name Nandini. Similar to Amul, Nandini was established as a dairy cooperative in Karnataka way back in 1955. Working on the exact same Anand model of distribution, Nandini has 14 milk unions across Karnataka that procure milk from their respective village dairy cooperative societies or DCS. And Nandini is the second largest milk cooperative in India after Amul. But why does Nandini have such a strong foothold in Karnataka? And how has it managed to keep Amul out of the state for so long? Well, Nandini has achieved this by building a strong loyalty among the consumers of Karnataka. Since it is a local organization, it has managed to cater its products and marketing campaigns to local tastes, winning the trust of the people. Nandini has also managed to establish an extensive distribution network in the state that has helped it to achieve a turnover of over 14,000 crores last year. For Amul, breaking into this well-established brand loyalty and distribution network is not an easy task. But even if it were to somehow convince the people of Karnataka to buy their milk, they would still be unable to enter Karnataka. Remember that Amul, similar to Nandini, also works on a cooperative model. And since all the dairy farmers in Karnataka are already loyal to Nandini, Amul would be unable to break into the supply chain. So it will have to bring in the milk from other states, thereby increasing the supply chain costs as well as the final price of all the product. Now the question arises, why have Amul and Nandini suddenly locked horns after almost 70 years of peaceful coexistence? Well, it all started with a tweet. On April 5, 2023, Amul tweeted from its official handle saying that their milk and curd will be coming to Bengaluru soon. You have to understand here that while Amul always works for the welfare of its farmers, it is an ambitious organization nevertheless. And in Bengaluru, it saw a large market that it can potentially tap into. However, it definitely would not have expected the political mudslinging that has followed. With Karnataka going to elections in a month on 10th May 2023, political parties saw this as a perfect opportunity to rally the people of Karnataka behind them. The opposition parties started alleging that the government wants to merge the state-owned Nandini with Amul with the help of the central government. On the other hand, the ruling party also accused the opposition of spreading misinformation to agitate the crowd and denied any such merger. And hashtags like Amul Go Back and Save KMF had started trending on social media. While the ruling party has come out and clarified in a tweet that KMF and Amul will never be merged, the backlash against the move still continues. Whether Amul will still continue with their plans to enter Bengaluru is still unclear. But the good news in all this mayhem is that the farmers continue to be happy and are still being taken care of. When interviewed, many farmers in Karnataka said that all they care about is dropping the milk to the dairy and returning home as long as they get paid the right price for their produce. Both Nandini and Amul look set for their growth, as Indian milk production itself is estimated to reach 330 million metric tons by 2034, ensuring that India continues to be the #1 milk producer in the world, and our dairy farmers continue getting the right price for their produce. I hope you liked this video. Please hit the like and subscribe buttons below to help me ensure that this video reaches more viewers like you. Let me know in the comments which topic you want me to cover next. Until then, goodbye.